President Biden and the First Lady are paying their respects to the late Queen Elizabeth II. Yesterday, they visited the British Embassy in Washington, and they wrote messages in a book of condolence. The president's trip to Windsor Castle last year marks the final presidential visit with the Queen during her record-breaking time on the throne. So Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes is at the White House, as usual, and has the latest reactions on the Queen's passing. Nancy, you know, the Queen and President Biden, they met multiple times. You know, he was vice president as well, and I don't know if they met while he was sort of in Congress, but I imagine they probably had a warm relationship just sort of based on both of their characters. Do we know anything about their relationship?
You guessed correctly, Anne-Marie. And actually, because President Biden has been on the world stage for decades, like the Queen, he actually first met her back in 1982 when he was a U.S. Senator. And he was part of a delegation that went to the UK. And he told a sort of famous story after that. You know, his mother is Irish, comes from a big Irish family. And when he told her that he was going to meet the Queen, she said, "Don't you bow down to her." And he took that to heart, and he didn't. You're not required to bow down to the Queen, but many people do. But he said that he came away from that meeting with very warm feelings about her and a lot of respect for her. And in fact, when he last met with the Queen last year at Windsor Castle with the First Lady, this was the first time the Queen had a public engagement after the passing of her husband. He said that she actually reminded him of his mother in a way. And he also said that they talked about policy and that she was asking him about the Chinese President Xi and Vladimir Putin, which in itself was a little unusual because typically dignitaries don't share what they discuss with the Queen, but this is President Biden. And so, you know, it definitely seemed like they had a good relationship. And yesterday, after she passed away, he put out a statement saying Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II was more than a monarch. She defined an era in a world of constant change. She was a steadying presence and a source of comfort. So a lot of warmth emanating from this White House today as they recall her.
You know, one of the things that the Queen was really, really good at was navigating politics. Even when the situation was uncomfortable, even when perhaps there was a political rift between the UK and another world leader. So she met with 14 U.S. presidents. I remember when Donald Trump went to meet her, we were all sort of watching to see, you know, how he would react, because at times he could sort of flout tradition. And so we wondered how that interaction would go. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship that she's had with past presidents?
So she has met with 13 U.S. presidents. She has hosted them for dinners in the UK. She has been celebrated here in the U.S. She rode horseback with President Reagan. She went to a baseball game with President George H.W. Bush. Basically, she has been meeting with U.S. presidents since 1951 when she was a princess, and she met with then President Truman. She has gotten to know every single U.S. president except for LBJ. So she's somebody who has a long history with U.S. presidents. There have been a couple of interesting sort of wrinkles, as you point out. When she was with President Trump, he committed the cardinal sin of stepping in front of her when they're walking. You know, there are a lot of rules governing how you're supposed to be around the Queen, and we Americans aren't always as familiar with those rules as Brits are. So he stepped in front of her, and that kind of, you know, created a moment of awkwardness. But also, you know, he wasn't the only one. Michelle Obama, the First Lady, kind of went in for a hug, something else that we Americans tend to do that might be shocking for the British monarchy. So they sort of shared an awkward hug at that moment. But, you know, these little baubles aside, which she is, you know, maybe had a cross look in the moment, but got over quite quickly. I think, only add a sort of a sense of humor and a light touch to that long-standing relationship between these two very different countries, but who, as every U.S. president and the Queen have been known to say, have this special relationship that endures.
And so, Nancy, just very quickly, moving forward, is the president expected to attend the Queen's funeral, and is he expected to meet with the new king?
He said last night when he was asked about that as he was leaving the UK embassy that he probably will attend the funeral, but we're still awaiting the details of when exactly that will take place, and it's only then that we'll know for sure.
All right. Nancy Cordes, thank you.
You're welcome.